Good morning. You know, as it is when we get older, we start to think more about our health and staying healthy. And for most of us, that means we're focusing on the big things like eating well, staying active, managing stress, and staying socially connected. These are what the experts call primary health protectants. These are the essentials that help us prevent disease and maintain a strong foundation of physical and mental well-being. But there's another layer. It's less talked about, but just as powerful. And these are called the secondary health protectants. And they include things like music and art, time in nature, and even how we arrange the spaces that we live in. It's pretty interesting. These secondary protectants work in a different way. They work by engaging the brain's reward system. They boost the neurotransmitters. You've heard these words like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, the feel-good chemicals that help us experience joy, reduce stress, and build emotional resilience. And so today, we are zeroing in on the secondary health protectors, especially music. My guest today, Mike Waters, is here to help us understand what happens in the brain when we listen to music or engage in art or get out in nature and how it supports our cognitive health. My name is Wendy Green, and this is the Boomer Banter podcast, and I am your host. And have you ever felt like something's just kind of off a little bit, like life is full, but not fulfilling in the way you want it to be or the way it used to be? Well, most of us have had, very full careers, and some of us have been involved with caregiving, but now we find ourselves missing something like that sense of connection, those friendships that we used to have, those regular chats, even regular laughs with the people who truly get us. And so that's why I started the Boomer Banter membership. It's a warm, welcoming space for adults 60 plus who crave real conversations, meaningful friendships, and something to genuinely look forward to. We meet twice a month for live, engaging discussions that feel more like catching up with a good friend than anything formal. And your first month, totally free. It's no pressure, just your chance to check us out. So if you'd like to try the Boomer Banter membership for a month, just drop me an email at wendy@heyboomer.biz, and I'll personally get you set up. Come and join us. The next one is tomorrow night. So let me know if you want to join it and check us out. And I want to tell you just a little bit about Mike before I invite him to join us here in Boomer Banter. Mike has spent 45 plus years in clinical adult fitness, working with businesses on worksite health promotion. He was the National YMCA training staff for health promotion, and he assisted in opening up Timber Hill Athletic Club in Oregon in 1980, and he's now their fitness director. Just as a little side note, 1980 was the, quote, dawning of adult fitness in this country. In addition, Mike spent 14 award-winning years as the director of the health promotion program at Hewlett-Packard in Corvallis, Oregon. And Mike has been supporting Boomer Banter on LinkedIn by sharing many of the posts that I put out there, and I am grateful to him for doing that, and that is how I came to meet him. So please join me in welcoming Mike Waters to Boomer Banter. So nice to see you, Mike.
Thank you, Wendy. Pleasure to be here. And as I've told you before, you're in health promotion. All the great speakers that you've had, it's just been neat to listen in on some of the interviews with them. It's as you talked about in the beginning, health is more than just the core concepts of fitness, diet, and all that. It's all. I see it as a human development type model, and that's the work you're in. Human
Yeah,
development, helping people
that's
get better.
that's so right. Thank you, Mike. So I want to start because I mentioned the secondary health protectants
Mhm.
like music, art, and nature. Why do you think they've been overlooked for so long in conversations about aging and wellness?
Well, if you go into you go, so it starts with you go to universities, okay, or you go to like the National Institutes of Health or Center of Disease Control. Okay, so the research is based on um, the things we do to make us healthy or ill. Okay, and so for several years, it's been that core concepts. It's been the physical activity. Okay, not necessarily. Now I want to make sure the viewers understand that. I've run a ton of marathons. Okay, we don't. That's unhealthy. Okay, that's something else. But being physically active, doing a lot of walking, things like that. Okay, so we looked at that for many years. The diet, as we all well know, on LinkedIn, there's constantly people, the processed foods, the whole thing. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so you look at that. But the area of neurobiology was looked at in mental health has kind of an issue.
Mm,
Okay, and it took a long time for neuroscientists to start looking at, hey, this is part of our health, because you look at what's called inflammatory markers.
okay.
And we did that with the heart. That's my expertise in my academic training, my graduate work, heart.
Okay.
Cancer came later, has a health promotion topic. I have a whole story about that. So we've looked from the neck down. Okay. Well, then we start seeing things, when Alzheimer's and dementias came out. Okay, it was kind of hidden. It was researched, but there were nursing homes where people just, and very slowly, some of my colleagues on LinkedIn, Jennifer, Melinda, they started talking about music for that group,
Yes.
activating their brain, and then everything started going. It's like, wow, okay, so even music for, and as you mentioned, art, the therapy
Hmm.
for people with cognitive disease, that those are health protectants from where they are, from where those people
Hmm.
are. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, then we started going to, well, what about a apparently what we call the apparently healthy individual in their brain? And then the research started flowing like crazy. And so there's just a ton of it all over the country at several universities, and Oregon Health Sciences University up here in Portland do a lot of that research.
So are you saying that the neurotransmitters in our brain
Mhm.
can protect us from some of those inflammatory diseases if we
Right.
can spark more oxytocin and serotonin and through music?
Exactly. We're
Wow.
really a biochemistry set. We're a chemistry set. Okay.
Wow.
And as everybody knows, through the minutes, hours of the day, at night, our chemistry is changing. Well, that's all these neurotransmitters that you talked about. Okay. And then what we take in, sugar, plants, everything. Okay. Shifts that biology. Okay.
Okay.
And then we start talking about exercise.
Right.
So nobody talked about, so again, I go back to heart. Okay, so we talked about my training, heart disease prevention, okay,
Hmm.
building up collaterals. We didn't talk about the brain, but then there was a counselor in San Diego. um, he wrote a book called Positive Addiction, forgot his name, and he used running with his patients for the brain. Because psychology people understand the neurochemistry and the dopamine, serotonin, and the opioids that we create from it. Well, it was talked about in that cohort,
Okay.
but not in the general public. See,
Because
not
the
in the general public.
psychologists and the biologists were not talking to each other?
No, it wasn't put out in. So I didn't talk about this.
When you talked
I
about
could,
the heart.
yeah. When I ran, I could talk about the feeling. It's like I feel great. I can write articles. I'm ready to go. The whole thing, but it can't be just me at a health club in Corvallis, Oregon, sharing that or talking to local groups. It has to be key researchers because that's where we listen. We listen to those
Right,
kind of
right,
people.
right, right.
Well, when that started happening, it's like, oh, so those of us that were doing it go, that's why I feel that way.
Oh, that running high. That's what you're
Yeah,
talking about. The
that's
runner's
why I
high.
get it. Okay, now we explain that. And so when I started talking about this, so I started in 06, 07, started talking about the brain. Now, one of the things that triggered it was Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence.
I
And he
know that
talked
book.
about the hippocampus and the amygdala. And it's like that set everything off. Oh, it's the brain.
It's
Our
the brain.
behaviors around the brain. Okay, so then here we come in health promotion, the exercise part. Okay, now we talk about the neurochemistry that happens when we exercise. So as I went along and talked about this, the people that did it nodded their heads, goes, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. I have this feeling. I have this feeling."
It's so interesting, right? And sometimes we don't trust those feelings. Like I think I told you, if I'm sitting in my house working and it's completely quiet, I suddenly feel this tremendous lag of energy. So I'll go in and put on music. Oh my gosh, it's like, oof, I feel so much
Favorite
better
music.
almost instantly.
Now here's what's interesting. Okay, so your viewers out there, you've got. Okay, so I follow. Oh, I can't remember his name. Multiple intelligences. I can't think of the researcher from Harvard right now. Okay,
Okay.
so basically, I break it down to two types of thinkers:
Mhm.
linear and nonlinear. Okay,
Okay.
so during our time at HP, obviously, huge engineering group.
Mhm.
Show me the data. Show me the data. So I learned as a speaker myself, or if I brought in speakers, Wendy, you better have the data in your back pocket because those engineers are going to ask for it. Now, that doesn't mean they were ready to take action.
Okay.
They were learners of, okay, I need the data to drive me. Even then, it's like, I'm not sure if I want to do this exercise stuff.
Mhm.
The nonlinear thinkers that were kind of, oh, okay, yeah, somebody told me that, who takes a group exercise class, that wow, they move, they're listening to this music. Okay, I get it. So I was a conduit to bring all this together. But I've learned, as I told you, I'm going to present tomorrow. Okay, in the group will be linear and nonlinear people. There'll be people going, show me the data. I
Right,
dare you.
right,
They,
right.
they, they almost do that. Show me the data, especially the people from academia that have a graduate degree. But
So
it's,
let me ask you this,
yeah,
Mike. Is there a certain type of music that is best for stimulating our brains, or is it just a personal preference?
it's personal.
Okay.
Okay, so um, for me, it's certain classic rock. Being a boomer, all
Right.
boomers, okay, we come from a lot of British groups, classic rock,
Right.
guitar playing, the whole thing. Okay, so certain songs get me going.
Right.
Okay, I'll sing to it.
Oh,
Don't
for
tell my
sure.
wife. Don't have to tell my wife, but I'll sing to it when I talk about that. So I think I shared with you. So I did a talk on this, your brain on health. I did a live group, okay, in Corvallis, okay, and everybody, I shared my experience, and I could see eyes lit up. So when I see that, I break from the outline that I have. Okay, let's go around the room if you're willing to share and tell me what song or type of music you like to get you going. Rock, country, classical, everything. Totally fascinating. Totally fascinating. Even the researchers, this is interesting. You can't put one finger. You can't say one thing. It's all types of music.
Because I remember when I was, pregnant many, many years ago,
That's
and
your
they used to
family
have.
background, in it, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
your
yeah,
family.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
They used to have this baby Mozart music that they wanted you to play, like in vitro. They wanted you to
Yeah.
play it to the
Yeah.
baby before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was
Yeah.
something about that, about maintaining the
Yeah.
calm, I guess. I don't know. So is there a difference, say if you're listening or you're singing or you're playing an instrument, do you get different kind of benefits, or is it all kind of the same thing?
It's about the same thing. It's about the same thing. Now, the people that actually play an instrument, okay, they tend to get more of this hit,
Mhm.
the DBNF, the dopamine, the serotonin, the positive neurotransmitters. They get the same. They get a higher hit because they've learned to play, particularly like I'm thinking the guitar and things like that. And 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 I don't know, but I'm guessing because colleagues I have on LinkedIn that work with people who have cognitive diseases, when they play music in assisted living or memory care, people will light up.
It's true. It's
And
true.
and
I've
and
seen that
and and
happen.
and, and people like Daniel Levitin, experts like that, and the late Oliver Sacks. Oh God, he was the neurobiologist in music. So people with diseases, when they play music, it's like their brains just light up.
And you see it when you're sitting there with them, like they recognize the music.
Hmm.
And I guess you're saying they also see it on brain scans, right? They'll see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that's really helped is the telemetry to really look at these things as we're, not guessing, not just looking at somebody, to actually there's good science. And I'm a big okay, so I'm a big guy. What I tell groups is so I'm going to do a talk tomorrow on Alzheimer's from a health promotion perspective. Okay.
Okay.
The data, the research matches what I see because I'm in the field.
Mhm.
Okay. So when I was at Worksite Health Promotion, okay, so I was mentored in health psychology and motivation. The research, the books, the everything, I would see it play out daily.
Mm.
So it's the same thing here. It's the same thing. The brain and music, art, it's the same thing.
So tell me, for those linear thinkers, what really happens in our brains when we're listening to music?
All right, so it triggers, okay, so it's an emotional feeling. Okay, so it so we always have a steady level of dopamine, serotonin, the DNF, another neurotransmitter. It's always kind of there, okay? But when we do something to heighten all that, okay, particularly with the blood flow increases, okay, all that increases, okay, throughout the body and in the brain. So they all kind of work together, okay? And there's a whole bunch of, I won't go into it today. If somebody's interested, I'll be glad to talk. There's a whole bunch of regions that have been in the brain that connect with certain rhythms, okay, sounds, notes, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I couldn't find his notes in 1994, which to me sometimes seems like yesterday. I had I don't know if anybody's heard of a musicologist. It's a musicologist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you have at the different universities, you have music majors. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so a musicologist goes into the psychology and now the neuropsychology of music.
Okay.
So I had a I don't know, I can't remember how we had him. We had a PhD musicologist from Oregon State University talk to the employees at HP. We didn't know if anybody was going to show up. Packed house,
Hmm.
packed house. They were interested in this is interesting. And that was 1994, and the data is even better. And he was talking about, I remember, notes, rhythms, and I had it written down on a 3x5 card. Some certain notes and rhythms trigger this neurochemistry, and that was then, and it's even better now.
That was in 1996, you said?
1994.
1994. So lots more studies since then.
Oh, huge, huge,
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, yeah.
So tell me what you've seen as far as music. I mean, you've mentioned it with Alzheimer's patients.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, Tell me what you've seen in the research around that.
Um, so I've actually been to a memory care facility, okay, where this it was a male with Alzheimer's sitting down playing a piano, playing a piano.
Mhm.
I already knew from the exercise experience with a Alzheimer's patient, I already knew the benefits. That was like his exercise. That was his workout because it gave him for a little bit clarity. Okay, without going into the detail with the tau plaque buildup and everything, when all these neurotransmitters come in, they kind of clean things up for a little bit, but unfortunately, it all returns. So it's like playing music for that population. That's like their workout for that day.
Mhm.
Now
Mhm.
that's what got me on this trail because when I was at Timber Hill Athletic Club, we started seeing people with cognitive disease, and the fitness staff, they were making it up as they went along. They were just doing proprioceptor stuff, moving stuff, things like that. We didn't know. Now the major fitness organizations, American College of Sports Medicine, ACE, they now have training certifications for people that want to work with people that have cognitive issues. That's how far we've come. But I would
Mhm.
I would talk to people that they at that time, like this guy that I knew, he exercised for a long time. He was a runner. He's exercising. Wayne, what you coming? He goes, it gives me a moment of clarity. That has
Mhm.
stayed with me for
Mhm.
years. That stayed with. So again, the data, I see the data played out. Now it's the same thing with playing music and in these memory care assisted living. It's incredible. They just light up, and then they and
Yeah.
then they, and then they just like, and then they forget. They can't forget. They can't remember their own name.
Right, right. But music is the last thing to go. I know a woman who has a program called Music Men's Minds, and these are all Alzheimer's or dementia patients,
Yeah,
and they remember songs.
yeah,
They remember how to play instruments.
yeah.
But you're right. There's a
Yeah.
lot of other things they don't remember. So it's pretty
We come
miraculous.
so far. I mean, the back in the old days, it's like if somebody had a dementia, it's like, well, let's put them away, hide them.
Mm, mhm.
And just
Yep.
wait it out till they die. Now I'm seeing on these I'm connecting more with the senior living. group,
Mm-hmm.
because of the talks I'm doing, things like that. And I'm seeing now I know they show happy, everybody's not, it's not, it's tough work. It's very tough
Mm-hmm.
work, huge turnover. I've spoken a lot to independent communities. It's turnover, that sort of thing. But I like the effort the staff is making, the creative arts, doing painting, playing
Absolutely.
music, all that. I like that. Bringing in, a quartet playing music, and the people, it just lights them up. That's their exercise.
Right. So let's shift a moment from the music to the art. And I see a comment here about spoken word. So, spoken word poetry
Okay.
and um, and visual arts. How do we know what kind of impact they have on the brain?
It's the same neurochemistry. It's the same. Yeah.
It's just a personal preference for.
Yeah. Yeah. Art, different color scheme. I have friends who are artists, and um, and they tell me it's like I don't get why a small group of people like a certain scheme I do, design, and others like another one. It's all how I mean, there's a lot of genetics involved with this, but it's all this neurobiology that takes place that captures it. I know, even I'm not a big art guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I know when we were in Paris and we were at art museum, it's like, oh, that catches my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a quick, and then some, it's just like, okay, let's move.
Okay.
So it's
So
all,
you,
it's all different. It's all different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people, including myself, we find it difficult to stay motivated to do all of those primary, you know,
Hmm.
health protectants,
Hmm.
exercise and
Hmm.
eat right and stress relief and all of that.
Hmm.
Can something like music or nature or our living environments help to motivate us to pay more attention to those other things that we should do?
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
glad you brought that up, because this is now we get into health psychology.
Okay, good. Let's go there.
All right. So I need to share this. I always talk to people live, LinkedIn, our days at HP. Why? Because for the first time in my career, I was around people that had no intention of doing anything healthy.
Mm,
So, for our viewers, the world of health promotion is like coaching a sport. You're on borrowed time. If now, so in the worksite world, not so much community, but in the worksite health promotion world, if you're a contractor, it's outcome based. Now, fortunately, we weren't, but most of them are, where you better hurry up and get these a significant amount of these people healthy, or you're out of here. Okay,
oh,
I'm
that's what
seeing
they would
this
tell
now.
you?
Yeah, this is I've never been in it, but I've had colleagues work in it. So now we have health coaching, and I have people that are health coaches that are on borrowed time. And the problem is it takes time to help people to change. All right. So what we found is we're going to come in through the back door. We're going to be creative. Okay. So like I said, musicologists, packed house. We need to get the employees, not the usual, what I call the usual suspects. Okay. We need to get a significant amount to trust us that we're not going to beat them over the head with the core concepts of health. That's what they expect.
Right.
So we did stuff on parenting, financial planning, the musicologist, okay? Packed how they learned to trust us. And the
Okay.
employees would say to me, I don't know what you're doing, but keep it up. So if we survey people like they do today, I see it on LinkedIn, the same thing. Do you want something on nutrition? Do you want some? It's so tired. Give somebody something different, and they'll try. So we got the trust. So then quietly, privately, one-on-one, the moderately motivated people would come in and meet with me, and they say, can we talk about physical activity? See, they saw me introduce the talk. It was something different. It was an article on something, whatever. Can we talk? See, so we came in through the back door. You have to have trust. You have to have the trust that we're not going to beat you up because you're not, eating hot bowls of steam and that kind of stuff. See,
So,
we'll change it. So
so
does
I'm
that make
thinking,
sense? Does that
well,
make sense?
I mean, I see where it makes sense in a work environment, and you're presenting. I'm
Mhm.
thinking as individuals who are watching the show or listening to the show, um, like if I put on music, is that going to motivate me to go out and take a walk?
Not necessarily, but it's part of the process.
Okay.
So like if somebody's listening today and they're thinking about exercise, they've had the personal trainer from hell, they had a bad experience with PE. It's like, okay, I connect with this guy, music. Okay, and he's talking about physical activity and the comparison. Maybe that gets them to think about, I'll start going for a walk. I don't
Mhm.
have to kill myself to do it because it's about health. See,
Yeah.
when we look at the lifespan, okay, so when we're younger, okay, if we didn't have the PE coach from hell, it's about performance.
Mhm.
It's about
Right.
how much weight I can lift. It's about how fast I can run. It's a physical prowess. This is all
Right.
in gerontology, okay? But as you go through the lifespan, it has a different meaning. Now we're talking about functional health. We're talking about fall prevention. We're talking about, keeping the inflammatory markers down so we can possibly prevent a cognitive disease. So it's
Right.
functional,
Okay. All
but
right.
we have to, there's a dosage, we call it dosage related. Now, now,
Like how much music do I take
well,
every
thank you. So
day?
somebody asked me that. I don't know. It's just like the engineer. I did a talk on men's health, all engineers. I talked about the usual. And I said, now I'm going to talk about the most deadliest disease. Well, everybody had their green engineering pads. Being social. So you mentioned that up front, being
That's right.
social.
You
Okay,
have to
that's a
be
big,
socially engaged.
that's slowly becoming, especially coming out of the pandemic, social engagement a primary health protectant.
Yep, for
Okay.
sure.
So this engineer asked me, how many times a week and how many minutes do I need to be social? I thought everybody was going to be laughing and they'd go, I was going to ask the same thing.
Oh my
You
gosh.
can't measure it like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
See, so you get these linear and non-linear thinkers. So I said, you
right.
just have to do it and good things will happen.
Yeah, and I try and tell people, if you just go out for a walk, pop in your earbuds, listen to some of your favorite music. I mean, if you can't help bopping down the street a little bit as you're listening to the music, then, you know, find something else to listen to. Find another way to exercise because I can't help it. When I've got that music on, it
So I
makes the
told,
walk so much better, and I'll
yeah,
go further, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. So I told you before we came on, I helped put on this half marathon up in Corvallis. Okay. And I've noticed through the years, okay, so there's a safety issue involved when you're doing like a road race. So the runners and the walkers, well, people had earbuds, or they had the little iPod, thing and connection, and it's like, okay, so they're they're in their own space, but they're with everybody. That's
Mhm,
what's fascinating. But I understand the neurobiology,
mhm.
and probably for some it gets them through. Me, I didn't need that. I didn't need that. Now I ran with people, but I was in my own head, thoughts,
Okay.
things like that. So it's all this neurochemistry that happens. And it's hard unless you experience it. And then by the way, okay, so this is another thing. With music and art, the secondary health protectants, you get, if everything aligns right, you get the immediate hit.
Okay.
With exercise, walking, okay, using equipment, even doing group exercise, we have to bring in your level of fitness, or what we call your aerobic capacity. So your aerobic capacity connects with your neurobiology, your
Okay.
aerobic capacity. So it takes a little time for that to develop. You don't get that immediate hit.
Okay. That's right. That's true.
But this is what I tell people. See, I would tell them what you said. Put your music in, bebop down, walking down the road. Enjoy the actual
Absolutely.
experience of the activity. The benefits will come later.
Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, find something else that you
Exactly. And
enjoy.
that, so I'm big on that aspect. Don't worry about the benefits. Don't worry,
Yeah.
but that'll take care of themselves. So we
Yeah.
look at motivated people in all these areas of how they do this. Yeah, I'm not worried about my cholesterol or blood pressure, things like that. I just enjoy doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that, and so it's in what we call intrinsic motivation.
Yeah. So I mentioned also the couple of the other secondary health protectants
Hmm.
being like being out in nature or even your surroundings, your home, your office space, which don't look at mine right now. How do those impact our secondary health, our brain health?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we started on this path. So we had a speaker come in called decluttering your home.
Mm, yes.
Decluttering your home. Okay. Packed house. Over 100 employees for a noontime. We used to call it brown bagger. Who would
Right.
have thought? Well, we were on the right path, so we knew people would show up.
Right.
Perfect. My mentor, Patrick Rodine, he's on LinkedIn. Okay. Aging in place. So he's
Mm-hmm.
real big on designing your home to stay in your home. Okay. He got me on the track. I have a book by a couple psychologists. It's called The Meaning and Placement of Things.
Oh, okay.
Now, the early cohort did feng shui,
Right.
the Japanese thing. Okay. So we looked at early, we interviewed people. I knew the neurochemistry. They had plants. They even in their work cubicle at HP.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this one engineer, she goes, "Come and see my QB. I'll show you how it's designed." Because it's usually lights and you got computers and things like that. But she had plants. She had the the little water
The
uh,
fountain thing.
fountain
Good.
thing, which
Yep.
drives some people crazy. But for some people, it's like white noise. It's very calming.
Yep.
That's what got her through. That's what kept her relaxed. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we found the speaker. I just had a ball. We had a ball finding a speaker talking about the placement of things in your home
Hmm.
and the neuropsychology. Packed house. Even
So,
it was what we call a three-roomer.
so Mike, did you go home and rearrange your house?
No, my wife handles all that. No. That doesn't do it for me. That doesn't do it for me.
You have to
Music
give her
and
the book.
exercise, but it's like Pat. He goes, "Oh my God, people are taking notes, everything like that."
Yeah.
And I started studying this. It's like the placement of artifacts, painting,
Yep.
plants,
And not
landscaping.
having clutter all around helps you
Exactly.
be more
Even
calm. It does.
landscape.
Yep.
So the people that can afford it across the nation, I know this to be true. I know if you can afford a landscape person
Mm.
and you're telling, well, can you put the plants here? Can you trim here? Can you do it? There are landscape companies that understand the neurobiology of this.
Oh gosh.
That's how they get customers.
Huh.
And they come in and consult.
Interesting.
Well, what do you think about this? Or putting stones or things like that, designing. So you could sit there in your back patio and just, I'm just
I
going to sit here and enjoy. The
absolutely.
neurobiology is going.
Yeah,
Who would have thought?
I know. It's
And
amazing.
I
I
didn't know. So the data was there, but then people show up and go, okay, this
yeah,
is health.
that
This is
it
healthy
is
stuff.
health. It is.
Again, they more trust. We like
Yeah.
this guy. He's not going to scare us.
All right. So give me one or two takeaways, Mike, that you would like to share with the audience around health, brain health and cardio health and whatever other kind of health. And I'm going to share your email because you said you want people to reach out to you
I
and
do.
ask questions.
I love the email, meet. Yeah,
Zoom
I love to
meetings.
talk
Yeah. So
more
his
about this.
email is Waters, WATERSM, like Mike, 808 at gmail.com. One or two takeaways?
If you're not doing it now, find your favorite music and play it often. Play it often. Okay. Now it's hard, if it's stress. There's a lot of stress going on right now, but it gets you going. Now it may not be calming. It may be classic rock. I'm singing my brains out. I'm listening to Spotify and I'm singing. Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. And that's before I do the formal exercise.
There you
So
go.
find that. Find if you like art. Find these secondary health protectants first. Okay. And then monitor. You don't need to go to the doctor. Monitor your blood pressure. Okay. And see if that makes that change first.
Oh,
Do
interesting.
lifestyle things first before you go on have to go on a med, to do it. Make those changes. Now, notice I didn't say anything about eating hot bowls of steam.
No, you
Or
didn't.
walking a half marathon. So it's like do these secondary health protectants and see how that helps first. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to endorse what Mike said. So as you go about your week, Mike and I are inviting you to take a moment to tune in to your favorite music or to your environment and to the rhythms that bring you joy. And guess what? Your brain might just thank you. So I know you're enjoying the stories and inspirations each week on Boomer Banter, and it would be so helpful if you would rate and review this episode or the show in general. The more reviews we get, the more Boomer Banter will show up in other people's feeds. And that means the more people will benefit from what we share. And while you're there, I want you to check out a friend of mine who has a podcast called Reinvention Rebels. Her name is Wendy Battles. She's the host of Reinvention Rebels, and she shares inspiring stories to ignite your courage, strengthen your self-permission muscle. What's that? And remind you that you are limitless. So go ahead and check out Reinvention Rebels. And next week, we're going to switch from brain health to nutrition, because this is the month we're talking about health, and an unexpected outcome to address hunger in a neighborhood in Cleveland. So my guest, Ken Cunahan, is the host of a podcast called Eat Better Food Today for Health and Longevity. He had a health scare in 2022 that led him to reevaluate his purpose, which led to creating his podcast, Eat Better Food Today. And on the podcast, he interviews chefs, doctors, farmers, other professionals focused on healthy choices around food and exercise. But the unexpected outcome? You're going to have to tune in next week to find out more about that. So come with an appetite for good food and good learning. And be sure to check the show notes for links and resources. Mike's email address will be in there. And if today's episode struck a chord, please share it with a friend. We are stronger together, so keep coming back. Thank you so much, Mike. This has been a pleasure having you.
Had a ball. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love talking about this stuff.